Dread Nation by Justina Ireland is a new book that I checked out. It is a really great concept. It's Civil War era America, but the undead happened. So imagine Django, not Django, imagine Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but instead of vampires, zombies. But not about Abraham Lincoln. The Battle of Gettysburg became more bloody because young boys would get up in the middle of battle and attack everyone. So the concept is what got me alone. I love zombies, zombie fiction. I watch anything zombie, really. Not everything, but you know, the good stuff. And I want to check out this book simply for that concept alone. Let's start with the story. Jane McKean is a young woman, biracial, lives on a plantation. And the plantation, however, is run by her mama. Her mama had an affair with one of the farmhands while her husband was away during the war, and she becomes the daughter of the plantation kept alive. However, she is given privileges because her mom owns the plantation. Also, the plantation is a bit different from others. They don't allow anyone on the property. They treat the slaves a bit better. Everyone gets a little bit of money, even though they don't need money, because you know they work for the plantation, they're given food. Everyone works hard for mama, everyone respects mama. However, when children turn age 12, whether it be native or Negro, they are taken away by the government to be re-educated and also given combat training to fight the undead. Racist people called the survivalists feel that the Negro exist only to protect white people from the undead. They're called shamblers in the book. I really like the verbiage, I like the world building, and essentially there are different sides before the war, after the war. There's a lot of world building in this book, but I enjoyed every minute of it. The main character is a student at Miss Preston's School for Combat. She wishes to become an attendant. Essentially, rich families have a bodyguard of sorts, and they pay a woman to also be a lady, but also be a combat lady. So, you know, to protect your charge from any zombie or from, you know, young cads. Essentially, Jane McKean needs to graduate Miss Preston's in order to get a finer life. And the first half of this book is mainly world building and about Jane's life and about what's going on in the world. There's different rumors going on about shamblers getting into the city, even though they live in Baltimore. Baltimore should be safe. However, there's also the exploration of, you know, alternate history and events. I really liked all that stuff. However, I think the biggest weakness of this book is the second half. The second half takes Jane somewhere else and there's a new threat. However, the villains are really one-dimensional. And that's what really pained me the most, because I really like the concept in the beginning of the book, but the second half just sort of falls away to cliche. The villains are this preacher, overly zealous preacher that thinks that who goes in the old way of thinking, that thinks that the Negro should be there to serve the white man. And we've seen that before. 12 Years a Slave, pretty much probably at least 5 to 10 different religious zealot villains. Night of the Hunter. And this character is no different. And his son is the sheriff, who's also corrupt. He has no extra dimensions either. They don't have time to explore these characters. They're very one-dimensional villains who are racist, and that's it. They don't try to, you know, introduce anything else to make them feel more real. And I do like the zombie killing parts of the book. It's really nicely detailed. However, the climax fizzles out. It is a rushed, quick, sort of just, it happens, it's over. Let's move on to the next book. And I hated that. You can't have that much build-up. There's just so much of this rich world introduced. The main character is great. She's this headstrong, biracial, black girl who can fight really well, but she has to shove her manners down when she's brought to this more dangerous world. However, the climax is just sort of like, you know, like, I don't have time. It's almost like the author just kind of like just wanted to leave more for book 2, and I didn't like that. You need to have a solid, amazing climax to sort of bring everything together, you know. This is what people have been reading this 500-page book for, and it didn't deliver. Didn't like that. The characters are fine. Everything's about that's fine. I really like the sort of setup of the second half, but the second half just completely fizzles out by the end. The soft ending is definitely what killed the book for me. I found it a fast read. They use letters, correspondence to introduce each chapter. And I enjoyed everything about this book except for the story. The story just is very rote. It's very similar to what we've seen before. One-dimensional villains, not a good climax, not a good finale. So Dread Nation is an interesting read if you really want to read something like very similar to Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter or alternate history sort of mixed with horror. Horror isn't at the forefront of this novel, however. It feels more like a young adult novel that just happens to have zombies in it. They don't try to go for horror too much. They go for the racism stuff is at the forefront, and I like that. However, I just felt that the book had such, great potential, and it just kind of felt like it didn't go anywhere. So that's what I feel about Dread Nation by Justina Ireland.